Before we start this video, I want everybody who has made a single dollar off his music to write a comment and share how he did it. Was it a B-sale? Did you sell a sound kit? Was it a placement? Everything that is related to music, write a comment and share all the ways that you have made money off music with. And also let everybody know which one was the first. So pause the video now, write your comment and then come back. In today's video, I want to share 3 lessons with you and give you my advice if you want to make money with music. Your comments will also be important for one of the lessons that I want to share with you. And of course, I want to let you know how I made my first money with music. I went to university at that time and I was already posting some cookup videos on YouTube and some type beats with no real concept. And at that time, minor to-go loops were a hot topic. Probably everybody around that time made a beat with one of his loops because he had those big records like Pop Out, No Stylist, other Polo G songs. And those loops were royalty free. That's one of the reasons why they were so popular as well. So I made that one beat with one of his loops, which I thought was pretty good at that time, but it didn't have any views on YouTube. So I thought about buying one of these B-Stars promotions. So I bought a promotion for 10 bucks. If I remember correctly, I was selling beats at that time for 20 bucks as well as I do today, which means if I get one sale, I have a margin of 10 bucks for that marketing strategy. After a couple hours, it happened. I got one sale through that promotion, which was my first sale. And ever since, I thought I'm gonna be a full-time music producer someday. A couple years later, it looks like it's finally gonna happen in the near future. And the first lesson that made that possible is to constantly put out your stuff. And the lesson is not about to put out your stuff, which I talked about in one of my last videos too. It's about to put out your stuff constantly. To upload my stuff on YouTube and do content for these last years consistently is what impacted my career the most. My YouTube account has by far the biggest following from all my social media accounts with almost 3,000 subscribers now. Thank you for that. And that was possible by me posting videos every week for 3 straight years. Most producers overestimate what they can achieve within a couple months of consistency and underestimate what they can achieve in a couple of years of consistency. I always tell you how important it is to get your stuff out and give as much people as possible access to your music. But that's not enough. You have to do it consistently. If you, for example, put out one loop kit and then you do nothing for the next 6 months, yeah, you might get some results with that one loop kit, but if you put out a loop kit every month for the next 6 months, of course you're gonna get further. One of the reasons why I have been able to be consistent with at least the YouTube uploads, not with every part of my music business, but at least with the YouTube uploads, is because of something called habit stacking. I learned this strategy from one of my favorite books called Atomic Habits. It's one of the best books I've ever read, and if someone asks me about my top 3 favorite books, it's always on my list. And if you struggle to create good habits and do things on a daily basis, I can highly recommend this book. I'll put a link in the description if you want to get it too. In the consistency aspect, social media is pretty simple. If you post a lot and your content is good, there's no way that your audience isn't growing or you don't get anywhere with your content or your personal brand. Especially in the beginning, you don't need to be consistent on every social media platform or be consistent building every stream of revenue. Most of the time, right at the start, it's okay to just start with one thing and build it up. And once you got it to a certain point, you can start to focus on something else because you don't have to do the same stuff forever. Especially when I switched my content from posting cookup videos and tutorials to videos of me talking about my personal experiences with music business and the e-commerce approach of music, things really started to kick off. And that's why the second lesson is to do something that you have some sort of fun with. There's a point that in all this I want to make money word gets forgotten a lot. This is important for doing content. This is important if you want to grow a type beat channel. This is important if you want to send out loops. If you think like Yeet type beats are a hot topic, but you do not enjoy making them, but you force yourself because you think you can make a good amount of money with it, on the long term, I just think that it's always better to choose something you have fun with and you are happy with in the long term. And as I said, you don't have to stick with one project forever, but if you want to grow a type beat channel and you start posting beats that you don't enjoy just because you think the niche is bigger or the customers/rappers are more likely to spend money on the beats, it will not last long. If you don't know how growing a type beat channel in particular works, you can check out the video description where you can find a link to a video where I explain everything you need to know. It also applies for the content. After posting cookup videos for almost 3 years, I didn't want to do it anymore, and that's why I switched up the content to those videos that I'm doing now. Because the cookup videos and the tutorials that I posted in 2023, I wasn't enjoying doing them as much as I did before. I'm pretty good at convincing myself to do something even though I don't feel like it or don't feel the motivation to do it, and it's always better to do something than nothing. So if you don't have another thing to work on, don't stop with the current thing and then just do nothing. Keep working on your thing until you find your new project, because stopping completely is the worst thing you can do. Just as I said in lesson 1, consistency is super important. But the price that I paid for keep going with these tutorials for the last year was that it drained a lot of energy from me that I couldn't put into different projects at that time. Since I'm doing this type of content that I genuinely enjoy making, I do work naturally on way more music and way more other projects, and my channel is growing better than ever before. Because even though I knew pursuing music is the right thing for me, focusing too much on those cookup videos wasn't my path. And that is why the third lesson is find your own path. Hopefully you wrote down a comment on how you made money with music and all the different ways. I'm pretty sure that we can now find more than one way to do so in the comments. Of course, for a lot of producers it starts with beat selling, but you can also make money with your music through a lot of other things. You can make money off loops, sound kits, YouTube ads, mixing, mastering, other services, if you already have grown a brand, product placements, and so on. And I'm sure that there's one method that you are naturally more talented in than others. If you, for example, played instruments your whole life, you might be one of those guys who can come up with crazy loops and different ideas all day long. My advice is to find a field like that and to start to build your brand with this field as the base. And I promise you, if you are good at something, there is a way to monetize it. I've always been into making videos and content. I got my first YouTube channel when I was 12 or 13 years old. I was skateboarding all day long at that time, so I made a channel where I explained on how to do certain moves on a skateboard, certain tricks. So I made a video on how to do a kick flip, how to do a heel flip, a 360 flip, whatever. So I was always a guy who had fun sharing his knowledge to others. And that's why I do those type of videos with music now. This is part of my path, and I'm pretty sure that you can find your own. If you need help with that, you can book one-on-one calls with me where we can discuss things like that to bring your music career on the right track. If that's interesting for you, check out the second link in the video description. And those are 3 key lessons for every young producer who wants to make money with music. And if you now think there's some good advice, but you need something more practical and something more specific, then you might like this video where I show you in-depth, detailed action steps on how to increase your beat sales. Check it out.